Take a slow breath in and let it out gently, feeling your shoulders drop, just a little. The world can wait. For now, it's just you, the soft quiet, and my voice guiding you. Imagine a gentle candle flame flickering nearby, its golden light swaying slowly, casting warm shadows on the wooden walls. Outside, a breeze sighs through the trees, leaves brushing softly. Your breathing slows as you notice the faint scent of lavender drifting in the air, wrapping around you like a familiar blanket. Let your mind sink into the comfort of this moment. In this calm, there is no need to hurry, no need to plan, no need to remember. Each word I speak is a step into a slower, softer place where you can simply rest. With each exhale, the weight in your body settles. Feel the chair or bed beneath you holding you completely, as though the world itself is cradling you in its quiet hands. The candlelight warms your cheek, while a cool thread of air slips past the window frame, carrying a faint whisper of distant chiming bells from somewhere down in the village. Our story tonight begins in an attic chamber, far from the noise of the marketplace below, where time drips like honey, and every moment holds the hush of something ancient. A tailor sits here, alone with his work. His hands are steady, his eyes soft in the candle's glow. Before him lies a length of deep, midnight, blue velvet, smooth as still water. The room smells faintly of woad and madder, dyes that have travelled through the years, carrying whispers of gardens and fields from a world beyond this wooden ceiling. Each snip of his shears is gentle, deliberate, followed by the soft pull of thread through fabric. The rhythm is like a lullaby snip, pull snip pull time itself, leaning in to listen. The tailor's fingers know the cloth by heart. They read it like a book, each weave telling him a story, each seam guiding his thought into the gentle pathways of memory. Outside, the wind turns a page of the night, a loose shutter taps against the frame. The candle's flame wavers, drawing the tailor's shadow taller along the wall. He hums quietly, a tune without words, born from years of quiet hours and careful hands. The sound drifts through the room like a soft current, carrying you further into calm. Beside the tailor, a clay ball of dye sits in stillness. Its surface shimmers faintly, deep as a starless sky, holding the colors of kings and queens from centuries past. The tailor dips his needle, the tip catching the candle's gold for a heartbeat, before disappearing again into the velvet, binding thread to cloth in patient, perfect lines. Somewhere beyond the attic's small window, the moon rises, silvering the thatched rooftops of the village. Night deepens, and with it, the tailor's world grows even quieter. He pauses only to sip from a small mug of tea, steam curling lazily into the candlelight. The taste carries the earthiness of chamomile and the faint sweetness of honey. Each stitch draws you deeper into the room with him. You can almost hear the velvet whisper as it folds, almost feel its softness against your fingertips. In this attic, hours are not counted by clocks, but by stitches. Each one is a gentle moment, sewn into the fabric of the night, holding its place in the tailor's quiet story. And here in this warmth, in this stillness, you are welcome to rest. The night is wide enough for both your dreams and his work to find a place to breathe. The tailor's needle moves with such patience, it's as though each stitch is a conversation between his hands and the cloth, a gentle back and forth whispered in the language of care. Outside, the wind changes. It now carries the faint scent of rain, though the sky above the village remains clear, dotted with quiet, silver stars that watch like silent witnesses. The candlelight catches in the sheen of the velvet, making it glow like the surface of a midnight lake under a full moon, shifting softly whenever his hands adjust the fabric. His breath is slow, in rhythm with the work. Inhale, needle enters. Exhale, thread pulls through, over and over, until the sound itself feels like the steady pulse of the night. On a nearby shelf rests a small jar of powdered madder root. Its deep crimson dust remembers the summer fields where it once grew, warmed by sun and brushed by wind. Next to it, a pouch of woad leaves, dried and crinkled, waiting for the day they'll give their indigo soul to water, just as countless dyers have done for generations before. The tailor glances at them briefly, remembering the apprenticeships of his youth, the scent of boiling dye vats, the chatter of the workshop, the colours blooming in wool and silk. In the attic now, there is no chatter, no boiling, only the small sounds of thread sliding and scissors closing. and perhaps the faint heartbeat of the building itself. He adjusts the velvet on his lap, smoothing it out with his palm. The texture is impossibly soft, yet with a quiet strength in its weave, the kind only time can teach. Your body has grown heavier now. Each muscle loosens a little more, drawn into the same steady rhythm that guides his hands. You are resting with him, here in this space. From the rafters above, a single rope of dried herbs, hanksage, rosemary, and thyme filling the air, with a subtle reminder of gardens in the warm season. The tailor smiles faintly, a secret smile, as though each herb remembers something he, too, has not forgotten, a summer evening, perhaps, or a promise once made under an oak tree. The needle pierces the cloth again, and the stitch it leaves is straight, unhurried, and true. Each one is a tiny act of faith, trusting the cloth to hold what the thread gives it. He works by touch as much as sight now. The candles light dimming as the night folds deeper around the attic. The darkness feels safe here, as though it is listening too. Outside, somewhere far down the lane, a cart wheel creaks and fades. The rest of the village remains wrapped in its own dreams, the tailor and his cloth alone in wakefulness. You can almost hear the fibres of the velvet settling under the thread's embrace, like a sigh of relief at being made whole, at being given a purpose in this quiet room. The tailor pauses, only to stretch his fingers, the joints clicking softly in the stillness. Then, with a breath, he returns to the cloth, the story resuming without a single spoken word. Each stitch feels older than time. Each thread carries the weight of seasons, of fields and looms, of hands now gone, but whose work lives on in colours and textures. You rest deeper now, wrapped in that same history, as though the velvet were draped across your own shoulders, warm and safe against the quiet of the world. In this attic, the night is not something to pass through quickly, it is a companion, a gentle guest, staying until the first pale edge of dawn begins to rise. The tailor leans back slightly, letting his gaze wander to the attic window, where the faint silver of moonlight brushes against the glass, tracing soft patterns like frost in winter. He remembers winters past working late into long, dark evenings, while snow whispered against the shutters, and the warmth of the candle was a small but steadfast companion. Tonight is gentler. The air carries no bite of frost, only the mild hush of a late autumn night, when the leaves have mostly fallen, and the earth waits quietly for winter's hand. His needle dips and rises, each motion a quiet promise to the cloth, each thread a bridge between moments, binding them in ways that words could never hope to capture. A small wooden box rests beside him, worn smooth with age. Inside are threads of every colour he has ever worked with, each one a memory wound tight on a tiny spool. The velvet on his lap will take the indigo of woad, but in his mind he recalls the golden sheen of saffron silk, the green of nettle fibre, the crimson born from cochineal. The candle wavers again, and shadows shift on the wall, making the beams above seem to lean closer, as if they, too, are curious about the work unfolding here. The tailor's hands never falter. Even in the half-light, they know the path, guided by the texture beneath his fingertips, by the faint pull of the thread as it finds its place. Outside, an owl calls softly from the edge of the woods, its voice a round, low note that seems to drift into the attic and rest there like another stitch in the night's fabric. You breathe in slowly, feeling the stillness settle deeper inside you, the tailor's world blending with your own, until you, too, are part of this slow, patient rhythm. A faint creak comes from the beams overhead, not from strain, but from age, the way old wood sometimes speaks in the quiet, reminding the room of all it has seen. He hums again, that same unhurried melody, as though his voice is just another tool, weaving calm into the air alongside the thread and the candlelight. The fabric gleams in places where the thread has just been laid, a subtle curve of light, following the contour of each new seam before melting back into shadow. Every so often, he pauses to smooth the cloth with the side of his hand, coaxing out any folds, treating it with the same care one might give to a sleeping child. The attic smells faintly of the wood beneath the floorboards, dry and warm, carrying the quiet scent of years stored in its grain, mingling with the herbal air. The tailor shifts slightly, adjusting his seat. The chair creaks, its sound blending with the small orchestra of night. The owl, the wind, the slow pulse of the candle flame. He dips the needle again, this time catching a thread of golden light from the candle as it passes through. Like sunlight caught in a drop of morning dew, the room is a cradle for both work and rest. Even the dust motes in the air seem to drift more slowly here, as though they, too, are caught in the rhythm of his stitching. Your eyes grow heavier now. The story does not rush, because the night itself is in no hurry. Here, time is stitched as carefully as the velvet beneath his hands. Somewhere deep in the stillness, the tailor knows this piece will outlast him, as all his finest work has done, silent witnesses to seasons, to moments, to dreams. The tailor's mind drifts as his hands continue their steady work, recalling the first time he held velvet in his grasp, amazed at how it caught light, like the surface of deep water. He had been an apprentice then, barely trusted with needles, yet the master had allowed him to run his palm along a finished piece, to feel the smooth rise and fall of the pile. Memory lingers even now, in every seam he makes. The fabric is not just cloth, it is history, patience, and a kind of beauty that only grows in the absence of haste. The candle burns lower, its wax pooling at the base, releasing a faint scent of beeswax that mingles with the herbal air and the woody breath of the attic. His scissors rest at his side, their metal cool against the wood of the work table. They wait silently, knowing their role will come again in due time, as all things do. Outside, the village sleeps on, unaware of the quiet artistry unfolding above, unaware of the midnight blue cloth, slowly becoming something meant to be cherished. The tailor dips his head, eyes following the path of the needle, as it pierces the velvet. There is satisfaction in each pull of the thread, as if the cloth sighs in approval. In the far distance, a single church bell marks the hour with a low, resonant tone that seems to hum in the bones of the attic, before dissolving back into silence. You drift deeper now, carried on the same tide of stillness that cradles the tailor's work, your breath, his stitches, the night all moving as one, slow and steady. He pauses to take a sip from his tea, now cooler, but still fragrant with chamomile. The steam curls faintly before vanishing into the dim glow around him. His fingers feel for the next length of thread, smooth and fine between his touch. The spool turns lazily, offering its gift one loop at a time without resistance. The velvet sheen shifts with the candlelight, creating rivers of darkness and light across its surface, like moonlit water flowing under invisible hands. He remembers dying days in the courtyard, the vat steaming, the colours blooming in the cloth like petals, opening under a sun of boiling water and stirred pigment. Woad had always been his favourites, deep blue unfolding slowly, deepening with each rinse, until it seemed to hold the sky itself within its fibres. Madder, too, had its charms rich and earthy, its red carrying the warmth of clay and autumn leaves. Both were colours that told their own stories without a single word. The tailor works on, each stitch now part of a quiet river of thought, flowing from memory to present, binding past seasons to this one night in the attic. A draught slips under the door, cool against the warmth of the candle's reach. The flame leans with it, then steadies, as though bowing in greeting before returning to its vigil. Your own breathing matches the rhythm, Heslo, even, unbroken. You are not outside the story now, but inside it, sitting in the quiet glow beside the tailor. Above, the rafters seem to hum faintly, the wood settling as the night deepens. Every sound here is small, gentle, and perfectly placed in the hush. The tailor looks at his work, running a hand gently across the finished seam, and smiles not for an audience, but for the fabric itself, which has kept him company through the night. The tailor threads his needle once more, the fine strand catching a glint of light before vanishing into the deep blue folds, like a star slipping behind a midnight cloud. He listens to the faint scratch of the thread as it draws through the velvet, a sound so soft it feels almost imagined, yet steady enough to anchor him in the present moment. Beyond the attic walls, a light wind brushes past, rattling a single loose tile on the roof, a sound both fragile and familiar, like an old friend's quiet knock. His hands move, without hesitation now, the path of each stitch known to his fingers, as if they had walked it countless times before, guided by some unspoken map. The tea is nearly gone, but its warmth still lingers in his chest, joining the slow heat from the candle as it spills golden light across the table's worn surfaces. He leans closer to his work, the shadows deepening around his face, the curve of his brow etched in soft contrast to the velvet's sheen beneath him. In the stillness, his mind drifts to the stories these colors could tell: the blue of king's robes, the red of merchant banners, the gold thread in a wedding gown's hem. You rest with these images too, letting them pass gently through your mind, like leaves on a slow river, each one gliding by without the need to be held. Somewhere in the dark below, a cat pads softly across the cobblestones, its steps almost silent, except for the faint scuff of paw against stone, soon fading into nothing. The tailor adjusts the spool, unwinding just enough thread to complete the next seam. Careful not to tangle it, respecting its journey from dye pot to needle's eye. Each stitch is deliberate, no movement wasted, as though every loop of thread were a sentence in a story only the velvet will ever truly understand. The attic air grows cooler as the night deepens, and the tailor draws his shawl tighter over his shoulders, the wool scratching faintly against the fabric of his shirt. Yet even the chill feels welcome here, another texture in the night's tapestry, another quiet reminder that the world continues to breathe beyond these walls. He hums once again, this time a deeper tune, slower, each note drawn out until it lingers in the air, like a thread waiting to be pulled through the cloth. The candle's flame flutters in time with the song, shadows dancing across the beams above, shifting in rhythm with the music and the motion of his hands. You are now so deeply settled in the quiet that even your thoughts seem softer, their edges rounded, as though they too are wrapped in velvet's smooth touch. The tailor pauses, running his fingertips along the completed line of stitching, checking its strength, its straightness, and finding comfort in its perfection. He exhales slowly, his breath a small cloud in the cooler air, before setting the needle once more into motion, the story of the night still unfolding. In this space the world outside does not intrude. There is only the soft glow of the candle, the velvet's deep color, and the steady rhythm of creation. And so the night continues, each moment stitched carefully to the next, until even time itself seems to rest in the tailor's hands. The tailor shifts the fabric gently, revealing the next section that waits for his hands. The velvet surface catches the candlelight, shimmering like the calm sea at twilight. He threads the needle again, the tip gliding easily through the eye as though it knows this dance by heart. A partnership between hand and tool perfected over many quiet years. Outside, the owl calls once more, its voice lower, now fading into the wind as if the night itself has grown heavier, slower, more content to simply linger. The tailor's thoughts drift to the dyer's yard from his youth, the vats steaming in the morning chill, colors swirling in water that mirrored the sky's early light. He remembers the day Woad first stained his fingertips blue marks that would not fade for days, reminders of the living pigment that once grew in the fields beyond the town. Madder root, too, had its lessons, the earthy red deepening as it cooled, the cloth pulling color into its threads like thirsty soil drinking rain. Each color was a story, and tonight, in this attic, he is telling one in blue, each stitch a word, each seam a sentence in a quiet, unspoken language. The candle wax has nearly reached the holder's lip, yet its flame burns steady, as if it too refuses to rest before the night's work is complete. You follow the needle's rhythm easily now, your breath aligned with the pull and release of the thread, each exhale deepening your place in the still, velvet-wrapped world. The tailor smooths the fabric once more, palm gliding over its surface, finding comfort in the evenness of the pile, the coolness beneath the candle's warmth. His shawl slips slightly from one shoulder, but he does not notice. His focus is wholly on the path before him, a quiet road marked only by the line of his stitches. From the village below comes the faintest sound of water, perhaps a bucket filled at the well, or a slow drip from the ever small notes in the night's gentle song. He hums along with it, unconsciously, the two sounds mingling until they become one. A simple harmony that seems to fill the attic without ever breaking the stillness. The velvet folds under his hands like a sleeping creature, its surface shifting with each movement, its shadows and highlights weaving their own subtle patterns. The tailor works steadily, aware that each stitch brings him closer to the seam's end, yet unwilling to rush a single one, knowing beauty lives in the space between motions. You feel this truth too, the slowing of time, the way each quiet action fills more than just the moment, it fills the room, the air, even the space behind your closed eyes. The night outside holds its breath. No footsteps, no cartwheels, no distant voice, only the soft pulse of the candle, the whisper of cloth, and the occasional sigh of the rafter. The tailor's hands, though lined with age, never tremble. They are as steady as the moon's light on the window pane, as constant as the threads pull through the velvet. He ties a small knot to finish the seam, the movement practiced and graceful, sealing this section of the night's work with the quiet satisfaction of completion. And in that moment, the attic feels entirely whole, every shadow, every breath, every stitch perfectly in place. The tailor sits back for a moment, letting the needle rest on the table, the soft metallic clink melting into the attic's hush as though it had always been part of it. His eyes wander to the candle, its small flame holding steady, casting a warm halo that dances faintly whenever the draught slips under the old wooden door. The pool of wax at its base glistens like amber, slow and heavy, as if even melting has become a patient act in this quiet place. Outside, a thin veil of cloud drifts across the moon, dimming the silver light at the window, leaving the room wrapped almost entirely in candle gold. The tailor leans forward again, his shadow stretching long over the table, his breath warming the thread as he draws it through the velvet's deep indigo folds. He remembers the first garment he ever made, a loner, simple tunic dyed in woad, stitched in the corner of his master's workshop while rain tapped gently on the roof. That tunic is long gone now, worn to threads, but the memory remains stitched into his fingers, into the steady rhythm that guides him tonight. You can almost see it too, the image painted in your mind by his slow, deliberate movements, each one a brushstroke in the attic's dim canvas. The thread pulls tight once more, the fabric settling beneath it with the faintest sigh, as though relieved to find its edges joined in quiet harmony. He turns the cloth, gently, adjusting the angle, allowing the candle's light to catch the seam and check its straightness before moving on. The air here feels thick with care, not heavy, but full, like a chest filled with keepsakes that hum softly when touched. A creak from the floorboards reminds him of the age of this place, of the countless nights before, when other hands might have worked by similar light. He thinks of them briefly, those unnamed tailors, their work scattered across time, perhaps still alive in garments stored in chests or draped on forgotten mannequins. Outside, the owl calls again, 3 low notes, spaced apart, as if marking the slow turning of hours none of you are counting. The tailor shifts the spool, fingers brushing the smooth wood, feeling its faint warmth from the candle's nearness. Your breath matches his again. Inhale as the needle rises, exhale as it sinks into the velvet. The pattern as steady as a heartbeat. The candle gutters slightly but holds, the flames dance, painting slow, moving shadows that seem to sway in time with the stitches. He pauses to flex his fingers, the joints popping softly, before leaning in once more, his focus returning like the tide to the shore. You settle deeper into the stillness, the room's sounds now part of you, woven in like threads in your own quiet fabric. And as another stitch is drawn through, the night seems to nod in approval, holding its gentle vigil beside the candle's watch. The tailor tilts his head slightly, studying the line he has made, his eyes tracing each stitch as if it were a star in some private constellation only he can read. The velvet gleams in places where the candlelight lands, deep blue fading into shadow, like night meeting the edge of dawn, but never quite crossing into it. He reaches for the scissors, their weight familiar in his hand, and with a quiet snip, the thread is freed, its end curling softly against the finished seam. The sound is crisp but gentle, vanishing into the room's hush almost before it can be noticed, like a raindrop swallowed by a still pond. He winds the remaining thread back onto the spool, each turn smooth and careful, returning it to rest until its next moment of purpose arrives. Outside, the breeze freshens, sliding under the door and through the cracks in the window frame, carrying the faint scent of damp leaves and distant chimneys. The tailor breathes it in, eyes half closed for a moment, letting the cool air mingle with the warmth of the candlelight on his skin. Then, with quiet resolve, he begins the next length of stitching, his hands guiding the needle through the cloth in a rhythm as old as the craft itself. You can feel this rhythm now in your own body, the way each small motion builds into something whole, something steady, without ever needing to rush. He hums under his breath again, low and slow, the notes curling through the air like wisps of smoke, blending with the scent of beeswax and velvet. The seam grows, inch by inch, each stitch laid like a brick in a wall. No one will see, but everyone will feel when the work is done. The tailor's expression is calm, his eyes soft in the golden light, his lips curving faintly, as though in conversation with the cloth itself. The night outside holds steady, the village dreaming beneath the stars, the owl silent now, its watch perhaps complete for the moment. He pauses only to adjust his chair, the wooden legs scraping softly against the floorboards, before resuming his quiet task without hesitation. The candle's flame sways, its shadow stretching tall along the wall before shrinking back, as if bowing to the work being done in its presence. You drift further into stillness, each word, each image sewing you into this room, until you are part of its warmth and hush. The velvet folds like water around the needle, the thread slipping in and out with the ease of long familiarity, no resistance, no error. A small knot marks the seam's end, tied with the same care as every other, a quiet signature left by the tailor's patient hands. He smooths the finished section once more, palm lingering, as though to thank the fabric for receiving the stitches so well. And then, without hurry, he prepares for the next, the night stretching open before him, seam by seam. The tailor leans back slightly, letting the candlelight wash over his face, eyes reflecting a softness only found in these deep hours. The room feels suspended in time, as though nothing beyond these four walls existently, the steady hand, the thread, and the gentle glow. He runs his thumb along the spool, feeling the smooth wood, the slight warmth where it has rested in his palm for so long tonight. The velvet shifts under his touch, catching light, like a secret being passed from one moment to the next. A faint creak rises from the rafters overhead, not alarming. Just the sound of the old house breathing in the night. Outside, frost begins to form on the window's edge, each crystal branching quietly, mapping the night in patterns of silver. The tailor's breath clouds faintly in the cool air, mingling with the steady heat of the candle. A balance of warmth and chill. He threads the needle again, the tip catching the flame's glint before disappearing into the waiting cloth. The thread slides through, whispering softly as it joins the weave, each pass settling in with quiet purpose. You can almost hear the heartbeat of the fabric itself, a slow thrum in rhythm with your own deepening calm. The scissors rest beside him, their curved handles gleaming faintly, ready but patient, knowing their moment will come again. The tailor's posture is unhurried, his shoulders loose, his movements so practiced, they seem more like breathing than labor. The seam grows once more, tiny arcs of thread binding one edge to the other in perfect alignment. A moth drifts lazily near the candle, its wings catching light before it veers away into the darker corner of the room. He hums again, the sound folding itself into the quiet so naturally that it feels as if it has always been there. Outside, a soft rustle stirs in the leaves, perhaps a fox passing unseen along the garden wall. The tailor's eyes flick briefly toward the sound, then back to his work, his attention steady as the needle dips and lifts. The velvet feels warmer, now, shaped by the work, holding the imprint of the hands that guide it. Another knot is tied, small and neat, sealing the seam like the closing of a gentle promise. He exhales slowly, his breath joining the stillness, and prepares to begin again. The tailor shifts the velvet slightly, allowing a new section to catch the candlelight, its folds glimmering softly like waves, frozen in gold and indigo. His fingers brush over the fabric, feeling every ridge and weave, every nuance of texture, as though the cloth were alive beneath his touch. His fingers brush over the fabric, feeling every ridge and weave, every nuance of texture, as though the cloth were alive beneath his touch. The needle is threaded once more, a glint of light, tracing its path before it disappears into the rich pile of velvet, guided solely by practiced hands. Outside, the wind sighs through the trees, carrying the scent of damp earth and fallen leaves, blending with the faint aroma of herbs hanging in the attic. The tailor leans closer, eyes narrowing slightly, concentrating on the perfect alignment of each stitch, each loop a quiet affirmation of care and patience. The candle flame wavers, elongating his shadow along the wooden beams, creating a gentle dance that mirrors the movement of his hands. Each stitch seems to hum its own soft tune, joining the whispers of the night, the rustle of leaves, the faint creak of the rafters, the heartbeat of the candle. He pauses briefly, hand resting on the velvet, feeling its warmth, seep into his palm, a tactile memory of the care he has given it throughout the evening. The spool rolls gently beside him as he pulls thread from it, the sound soft, deliberate, echoing the rhythm of his breathing and the night's calm pulse. You too are wrapped in this rhythm, each inhale and exhale, sinking with the needle's journey through the fabric, deeper into relaxation. The scissors lie within reach, gleaming faintly in the golden glow, quiet companions to the intricate dance of thread and velvet. Outside, a distant hoot of an owl marks the passage of time, slow and deliberate, barely stirring the stillness that envelops the attic. The tailor's eyes follow each loop of thread, noting its placement, appreciating the symmetry, the harmony that arises from patience and focus. He hums under his breath, a melody that folds itself seamlessly into the night, gentle and unhurried, like a river flowing in slow motion. The velvet shifts under his touch, bending and curling with the movement of his hands, each fold catching a whisper of light from the candle. He ties a small knot, securing the seam, and runs his palm lightly over the finished section, a silent acknowledgement of completion before moving forward. The room is warm with candlelight, rich with the scent of herbs and fabric, an embrace that envelops both tailor and observer in a soft cocoon. The night stretches before you, seamless, each stitch a tiny anchor in the vast expanse of stillness, guiding your mind toward gentle, velvet dreams. And so, with hands steady and heart calm, the tailor begins again, each movement slow, deliberate, a testament to the beauty of quiet, patient work. The tailor lifts the needle, thread poised, and guides it smoothly through the velvet. The tiny motion echoing softly in the hushed attic space. Outside, the night remains still, stars flickering faintly through the window, their silver light mingling with the candle's golden glow. Each stitch flows naturally into the next, a seamless line of care and attention, binding not just fabric, but the quiet moments of the night itself. He tilts the fabric slightly, feeling the resistance, then adjusting gently, coaxing it into place as one might soothe a sleeping child. The candle flickers again, sending long shadows that stretch across the beams above, dancing silently in time with the movement of his hands. You feel the rhythm settling in your own body, each inhale and exhale harmonizing with the soft, deliberate actions of the tailor. The velvet's texture is mesmerizing, smooth and dense, yet pliable, responding to each pull and tuck as though it has a life of its own. The tailor hums once more, a low, soothing sound that blends with the faint creak of the floorboards and the whisper of the night air. Outside, the wind brushes softly against the trees, leaves rustling like gentle applause, marking the slow passage of time without urgency. He dips the needle again, the thread catching a glint of candlelight, then slipping quietly through the pile, leaving a trail of subtle perfection. The spool rotates under his fingers, unwinding thread with a steady, measured pace, each loop drawn with intention and care. A faint smell of beeswax from the candle mixes with the earthy aroma of the velvet, creating an atmosphere rich in comfort and calm. He pauses briefly to study the seam, running his fingers along it, appreciating the smooth line, the soft pull of the thread, the gentle perfection. You too rest in this shared stillness, every sense attuned to the subtle motions and textures surrounding you, drawing you deeper into relaxation. The scissors sit quietly, their metallic shine catching the candle's glow, resting as patient witnesses to the quiet artistry before them. The velvet shifts gently under the tailor's hands, catching new light in every fold, a dance of shadow and sheen that mirrors the night outside. He ties another knot, small and precise, sealing the seam with care. A tiny ritual repeated again and again, in the peaceful rhythm of work. The attic feels alive, yet silent, a cocoon of warmth and focus, holding both tailor and observer in a tender, protective embrace. Your body sinks deeper into comfort, each muscle releasing more tension, guided by the serene cadence of stitching, humming, and candlelight. And so the night stretches on, each movement deliberate, each stitch a gentle lullaby, weaving peace and quiet through the velvet and your mind alike. The tailor adjusts the velvet slightly, letting the folds catch the candlelight in a soft shimmer, each movement gentle, like the brushing of a feather. His fingers trace the line of the previous stitches, feeling the texture, the subtle rise and fall of thread against fabric, a tactile rhythm that calms the mind. The needle rises and falls again, the thread slipping smoothly through the velvet's dense pile, each motion precise and soothing in its repetition. Outside, the night wind carries the faint scent of earth and distant wood smoke, a whisper of life beyond the quiet attic walls. The tailor hums softly, a melody without words, curling around the candle's warmth and the muted shadows of the rafters above. The velvet's deep blue seems to absorb the light and then return it, a subtle glow that moves with each tilt of the fabric, like water reflecting the moon. You feel yourself breathing in time with the motion. Inhale as the needle rises, exhale as it sinks, each rhythm drawing you further into calm. A single moth flutters lazily near the candle, its wings catching faint sparks of gold before veering silently into the darker corner of the room. The tailor's eyes are soft, focused but relaxed, following each stitch with a gentle awareness, his hands moving in quiet harmony with his thoughts. The spool turns smoothly, thread sliding free, obedient and willing, carrying color and care through every loop of the needle's journey. He pauses briefly, letting the needle rest, and studies the seam, fingers lightly brushing the velvet, appreciating the small perfection of his patient work. The candle's flame flickers with the breath of the attic, shadows stretching and shrinking, dancing silently to the rhythm of the tailor's motions. Outside, the trees sway, leaves rustling faintly, a soft, almost imperceptible chorus accompanying the quiet symphony. Inside the attic, another stitch is made, tiny, precise, each one a thread of calm, a tactile lullaby woven into the fabric and the night itself. He ties a small knot, securing the seam, a ritual repeated over and over, grounding him in the quiet flow of his work. The attic is warm, scented faintly of herbs and beeswax, a cocoon of comfort, enveloping both the tailor and the watcher in its gentle embrace. Your eyelids grow heavier, the quiet rhythm of needle, thread, and candlelight guiding you deeper into relaxation and stillness. The velvet folds beneath his hands, soft and responsive, a tactile partner in the unhurried dance of creation and quiet. The scissors lie at rest, patient, silent, observing the slow, deliberate beauty unfolding before them in the candle's glow. And so, stitch by stitch, knot by knot, the night continues, each movement a lullaby that carries both tailor and listener towards serenity. The tailor leans slightly forward, eyes soft, hands steady, guiding the needle through the velvet, with the same patience as a river flowing over smooth stones. The candlelight flickers, shadows moving gently along the beams, casting patterns like slow, breathing waves over the walls and floor. The thread slips quietly through the dense fabric, each stitch forming a tiny bridge between one fold and the next, a connection of care and time. Outside, the night whispers through the trees, leaves brushing softly against one another, a faint rustle that blends seamlessly with the attic's calm. He hums a low, rhythmic melody, a sound that curls through the air like smoke, wrapping the room in a tender, almost invisible embrace. Your breath follows the cadence, slow and measured, inhaling as the needle rises, exhaling as it sinks, aligning your body with the attic's quiet rhythm. The velvet gleams subtly, folds catching the candlelight like tiny waves frozen in motion, shifting slightly with each careful adjustment of the cloth. He pauses to study the seam, fingers gliding lightly across the surface, appreciating the subtle perfection of each stitch, the harmony in each line. The spool rolls gently, thread unwinding smoothly, obedient to the motions of his hands, carrying color and intent through every loop. A faint scent of herbs drifts from the hanging bundles above, mingling with beeswax and fabric, adding depth to the sensory cocoon of the attic. Another stitch is drawn, precise and deliberate, binding the folds of the velvet with invisible care, each one a whisper of calm in the night. The scissors remain silent, resting nearby, their metallic sheen catching glimmers of candlelight, like distant stars in a deep blue sky. Outside, the wind shifts slightly, carrying distant nocturnal sounds, a fox, gentle step, the faint rustle of leaves, a soft accompaniment to the attic's melody. The tailor threads the needle again, a glint of light tracing the metal before it dives into the velvet's rich, deep texture, seamless and smooth. Each stitch is a gentle act, deliberate and unhurried, echoing the patience of generations of hands that came before. Weaving history into fabric, you sink deeper into the room's rhythm, body and mind, sinking with the slow, deliberate motions, feeling weightless in the warmth and stillness. The velvet bends under his touch, responsive, soft, absorbing the care and attention with a quiet gratitude that seems almost alive. He ties another tiny knot, securing the seam, each one a miniature celebration of patience, focus, and quiet perfection in motion. The candle flickers, flame leaning gently toward the draft, shadows stretching and shrinking, dancing softly along the wooden beams. And so the attic breathes with them, tailor, thread, candle, and listener, each stitch a pulse in the heart of this peaceful, endless night. The tailor tilts the velvet slightly, allowing the candlelight to graze its folds, revealing subtle shadows and highlights like soft waves in moonlit water. His hands move slowly, each stitch deliberate, guided by memory and instinct, a rhythm as natural as the night's gentle breathing. Outside, the leaves rustle faintly, carried by a whispering breeze, a soft accompaniment to the quiet hum of the tailor's melody. The needle rises and sinks with precision, thread slipping easily through the dense fabric, each motion a delicate punctuation in the night's narrative. He hums under his breath, low and steady, the sound curling around the room like a gentle wind, filling every corner with calm. You follow this rhythm, your own breathing syncing with the needle's passage, deeper into relaxation, body and mind fully entwined with the moment. The velvet sheen shifts subtly, folds catching light in a dance of shadow and glow, responding gracefully to each touch of the tailor's fingers. He pauses, studying the seam, running his palm lightly across the fabric, feeling its warmth, its texture, the careful perfection of his work. The spool rotates smoothly under his fingers, thread unwinding in obedient coils, each loop guided with steady, mindful care. A faint aroma of beeswax and herbs fills the air, mingling with the scent of the velvet, a sensory cocoon that wraps around you gently. Another stitch is made, precise and intentional, connecting folds of fabric like tiny bridges, each one carrying patience and attention. The scissors rest silently nearby, metallic glint catching candlelight, passive observers to the quiet artistry unfolding in the attic. Outside, the night stretches wide, faint sounds of distant creatures echoing softly, blending seamlessly into the attic's hush. The tailor threads the needle once more, the eye catching a soft glimmer of light before it vanishes into the velvet's rich texture. Each motion is a meditation, a delicate act of creation, a slow unfolding of rhythm and calm that mirrors the night itself. You feel the stillness deepen, every muscle relaxing further, your mind floating gently with the ebb and flow of the stitching. The velvet yields under his hands, pliable, responsive, absorbing the care and precision of each motion with quiet acceptance. He ties another knot, small and perfect, securing the seam like a whispered promise, a tiny ritual repeated in serene repetition. The candle flickers softly, flame bending with the draft, casting dancing shadows along the beams, slow and hypnotic. And so, stitch by stitch, knot by knot, the night enfolds them, each moment suspended in quiet, warmth, and the gentle pulse of creation. The tailor shifts slightly, letting the candlelight graze the folds of velvet, revealing a subtle play of light and shadow, like quiet waves, frozen mid-motion. His fingers guide the needle with calm precision, each stitch deliberate, weaving patience and care into every thread drawn through the fabric. Outside, the wind carries the soft rustle of leaves, blending with the low hum of the tailor, creating a gentle symphony of night sounds. The needle rises and falls rhythmically, the thread slipping smoothly through the velvet, leaving behind a trail of meticulous, almost meditative perfection. He hums softly, the sound curling around the room, like smoke, merging seamlessly with the warmth of candlelight and the scent of herbs. Your breathing slows in harmony with the motions. Inhale as the needle rises, exhale as it sinks, deeper into the tranquil cadence of the attic. The velvet responds to his touch, soft and yielding, catching the light in its folds, shimmering like water, reflecting a sliver of moonlight. He pauses briefly, palm gliding over the seam, feeling the texture, the smoothness, the gentle confirmation of a job done with care. The spool rotates effortlessly under his fingers, thread unwinding with quiet obedience, flowing seamlessly into the next stitch. A faint scent of wax and herbs envelops the room, a sensory blanket that complements the quiet focus of the tailor's craft. Another stitch is drawn, small, precise, connecting folds of fabric with invisible threads of patience and dedication, a tactile lullaby. The scissors sit at rest, metallic sheen catching the flicker of candlelight, patient witnesses to the nightly ritual of creation. Outside, the trees sway softly, leaves brushing against each other in gentle rhythm, accompanying the hum and rustle of the attic's life. He threads the needle again, light glinting from the metal tip before it disappears into the velvet, seamless and fluid in its motion. Each stitch is a quiet act, deliberate and unhurried, echoing the calm of the night and the slow unfolding of peaceful hours. You feel the stillness deepen, your body melting further into comfort, mind and spirit, entwined with the rhythmic dance of thread and fabric. The velvet folds beneath his hands, pliable and responsive, accepting every careful motion, every gentle tug, every knot tied with intent. He ties another knot, secure and neat, each a small testament to patience, focus, and quiet artistry, repeated throughout the night. The candle flickers, shadows stretching and shrinking along the beams, casting hypnotic patterns that mirror the motions of the tailor's hands. And so, stitch by stitch, knot by knot, the night holds them, every movement weaving serenity and quiet magic into both fabric and listener alike. The tailor leans slightly forward, eyes softened by candlelight, guiding the needle through the velvet with steady, practiced precision, each motion slow and deliberate. The thread glides effortlessly, leaving a seamless line across the deep fabric, each stitch a quiet testament to care and patience in the still night. Outside, the breeze moves gently, brushing past the trees, leaves rustling faintly, blending harmoniously with the soft hum of the tailor's melody. The velvet's folds catch the candlelight, subtle highlights, shifting with every motion, creating a living interplay of shadow and glow. He hums softly, low and steady, the sound curling through the room like smoke, mingling with the warmth of wax and the faint scent of herbs. Your breath follows the rhythm, inhaling as the needle rises, exhaling as it sinks, letting the cadence pull you deeper into calm and relaxation. The spool turns smoothly, thread unwinding with obedience, flowing into each stitch seamlessly, a gentle river of motion and focus. He pauses briefly, running his palm along the seam, feeling its texture, the perfection of each line, the quiet satisfaction of work done with love. The scissors lie silent nearby, metallic sheen catching faint light, patient observers of the nightly ritual unfolding in golden glow. Outside, faint nocturnal sounds drift distant water, a fox passing blending seamlessly with the attic's hush, a subtle symphony of night. The needle dives again, thread slipping softly through the velvet, each motion steady, soothing, a tactile lullaby echoing in the quiet room. He hums once more, melody soft, curling around candlelight and shadows, wrapping the attic in gentle warmth and hypnotic calm. The velvet responds under his fingers, pliable and soft, every fold catching light, every stitch a gentle pulse in the fabric's quiet life. Another knot is tied, tiny and precise, securing the seam, a repeated ritual, a grounding point in the flow of the night's creation. The candle flickers gently, casting elongated shadows along the beams, moving slowly as if in tandem with the needle's rhythm. You sink deeper into comfort, each muscle relaxing, mind floating with the steady, hypnotic cadence of thread, needle, and candlelight. The tailor adjusts the fabric, folds shifting softly, catching new angles of light as the next sequence of stitches begins its slow, deliberate journey. Each stitch a meditation, every knot a quiet affirmation, the night stretching endlessly around them, warm, safe, and profoundly still. The attic seems to breathe with them, every shadow scent and sound melding into one gentle, encompassing cocoon of calm and serenity. And so, with patient hands and steady heart, the tailor continues, every motion weaving peace and comfort into the velvet and into your own mind.